Friends, I have a huge stack of books next to me from my TBR pile from not reading for several weeks, and I'm going to try and narrow it down to my top 5 that I want to kick off 2025 with. Hello friends, happy Wednesday, so very excited that you're here. It is Top 5 Wednesday, and I am, well, you guys may not know, but behind the scenes, I am once again changing up my plan of what I was going to film and record today. Originally, which honestly works out really great how all this unfolded, but originally I was going to use today to kick off a mini Top 5 series of sharing my top 5 favorite debuts from a variety of publishers each Wednesday. But then I was thinking, I was like, if you're going to do that and you haven't shared your top 12 favorite reads of 2024, should you really do that? Because it might get confusing. So I asked Patreon channel members and they came in clutch and they said that this upcoming Friday they would love to see that video of my top 12 favorite reads of the year and then also sharing my ultimate favorite read of 2024. Because for 2023 I did a bracket, I put it all together to see what was my ultimate favorite read. I'm like nervously excited because I haven't looked at that bracket in quite a while. I told myself I can't think about my answers beforehand. My goal is when I go to film that video, then I will pull the manga off my shelf and then we'll talk about it. Anyway, so that's something to stay tuned for this upcoming Friday. I think I'm going to try and include my reading stats in that video as well. But today, we're going to be talking about my top 5, not most anticipated reads, top 5 I most want to read, I guess you would say. And as I shared, I have a stack, though I just realized the manga are upside down, my bad, the titles are. But this is my stack. This is my stack that I have of manga and the one manhwa. Literally, this stack has mainly just been sitting next to my desk because in December I didn't really read much, and then when I did read, it was not from my physical TBR. It was just random digital things, and my brain's like, oh, let's read this. I'm like, okay, let's read this, and just mood reader problems, I guess you would say. And honestly, I must say it was really sad that when I was putting together my stack and facing them all the right way, even though the spines were upside down, I didn't even realize, this is how far behind I am. I didn't realize that I had volume 8 of Moonflower Doctor or Moonflower Kingdom. Like I didn't even know I had this. I don't even remember getting it in December, and I know we had a bunch of sickness, and then I I was working on the Shijose rap video, and that took up all my time, and so I just did no reading for like that week. And then yesterday I actually read my first book, physical book of 2025, but it was not a manga. It was Dark Moon Volume 5. So incredibly good. But yeah, I don't remember getting this. I'm blaming sick brain on that I don't remember. Now I will say for these, they're going to be in no certain order because I genuinely don't know when I'm going to start next. I might use like the wheel of names to help me decide because I've just sort of been overwhelmed how high it is. Typically it doesn't get this big. And I'm just like, I don't know what I'm going to read, but out of this stack, this pile, obviously I want to read all of them, but I figured talking about the top 5 would help spur me to actually start reading. And I did feel that for number 1, since I've had this on my TBR the longest, is Though I Am an Inept Villainess, volumes 1 through 6. So I watched my friend Zoe's video and she gushed about the manga, the light novel, or I know that she got it. And it was after her video, I was like, oh, I'm going to go look back at this because I'm pretty sure I have a shopping video. I went after a doctor's visit. I looked at this one because another friend of mine at that time had been reading it and liked it. And it's villainous, and I love my villainous manga, but I couldn't get into it at the time. I don't know if it was just mood reader problems because I ended up getting, was it Tokyo Aliens and something else? I don't know what else I picked up, but I remember flipping through this one at the store. And then yeah, I came back to it after Zoe's video and I loved what I read, so much so that I went and bought volumes 1 through 5 and then put volume 6 on pre-order. That sort of broke my rule a little bit that I won't binge buy series, but I did read a huge part. I don't think I read all of volume 1, but I did read a huge part of volume 1, and then I did read previews of like volumes 2, 3, and 4 because yes, that I do that. If I'm purposely looking for the spoilers, it's fine because I'm the one that's making that decision. I just don't want to purposely get spoiled by somebody else where I didn't ask to get spoiled, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I don't even fully remember what this manga is about. except for, I guess as the subtitle says, Tale of the Butterfly Rat Body Swap in the Maiden Court. I think this is the actual main female lead, and she is very, very sickly, and something happens, and the girl who's like beautiful, popular, but is really mean-spirited, pushes her during this time frame, like pushes her where she's supposed to die. When she does that though, something happens and they swap bodies. So now the mean girl is in the sickly, ailed body, who was very loved by everybody because she was so kind, but she was just so frail. Now the person who was sick, that girl who's our main female lead, is in the abled body, I guess you would say. She is flourishing and thriving. She's able to do these things, and I don't know what volume it was. Maybe it was this first one, but I did see a scene with a bow and arrow, like her using one, and her just continuing to shoot at this target until her fingers were bloody, and they're like, you need to stop. And she's like, I am not stopping. And she was relishing in the fact that her body was capable enough to be able to stand and endure this kind of exhaustion and this kind of not strength, but injury to her fingers from doing this. Like, she didn't want to stop because that's something she could never do in her previous body. And I was like, okay, I'm seated. I need more. Like, that scene vividly stands out in my mind. I don't know the full context. Please don't tell me. I have to read it to find out. But it's why I want to read this so badly. And I think I'm going to love it a lot more. And even when I've just flipped through it, I was totally engaged. So that's why it's important, as I've said before on this channel, it's important to come back to things that maybe you didn't love the first time and you will love so much more the second time. Since it's near the top of the pile, my only reading goal, which I know I have mentioned to Patreon channel members, I don't know how much I'm going to go in depth on Friday about it or anything, but my one reading goal this year is to reread Haikyuu. My plan is to read one volume a week, which shout out to my friend, I call her Sushi in my brain, but I will leave her handle here, her full handle. But she invited me last year, at the beginning of last year, and was like, hey, I want to read Haikyuu for the first time. Do you want to do a buddy read? And she invited a bunch of our other friends, and we have this group chat, and we are supposed to be reading Haikyuu, one volume a week. And yeah, I never did, and I feel so bad if she's watching this video. I'm so sorry. Like, it was not her, it was me. I just had the goal that I wanted to read everything I had on my backlog, on my shelves, and I met that goal. So now I feel like I'm in a position where my brain's like, now you can reread things you have because you don't have anything on your backlog to read anymore. Outside of what I have literally in this stack and one volume on my shelf up here, I think it is. We can't see it, but that is volume 1 of Dankin Daisy. That's the only unread volume on my shelf. And then I have my stack of manga slash manhwa here. But yeah, I want to reread Haikyuu, so a year later, because they haven't read all of Haikyuu yet, so I feel like I have time. I can catch up with everybody, and everybody's so kind and understanding. They're like, oh, are you behind? It's okay. You can just spam us your thoughts later. That is what I'm going to do, friends. That's what I'm going to do. So I actually skimmed through this. I didn't read the words, really. I just looked at the pictures the other night when something was going on. I just felt really overwhelmed, and I just felt so revived. So I'm really, really excited for this goal. Against the only reading goal I have that's like officially set in stone that I'm setting for myself. No trying to reach an X amount of books read this year. Nope, just want to reread Haikyuu, and I'm very, very excited. Look, I don't know what video it was, but I mentioned that I feel like I should be canceled because I haven't read this. For number three, I'm saying my secretly hot husband. Do you know how like embarrassed I am that I haven't read this? Like, I love this series. I am double dipping on this series. It is one of my favorite manhwa. Like, I'm saying, like, up there underneath If Villains Are Destined to Die. I love this series. And I got it. And I planned to read it in December. I planned to read it the same day it arrived. And I don't know what happened. I don't don't know what happened. And I was like, Laura, you will read this. You will read this. It is definitely in my top 5 that I want to read first before anything else. Because I'm just like, I can't believe I'm just sitting on it. And I flipped through it and I loved it. And I was like, yes, it's just as amazing as the first time I read it. But I haven't sat down and physically read it from cover to cover. That is going to change. that is going to change. I want to be back with these characters again. They're so amazing. It is a if they're following the Korean releases, this is a 3-volume manhwa, so highly would recommend it. I did look at the end to see where this volume ends, and I was like, why did you end on that kind of cliffhanger? I was like, that is agony. And I was like, I read it digitally, so I didn't have to worry about cliffhangers, because at that time they were doing a promotion to celebrate the manhwa ending at that time, like digitally on, was it Tapas? So yeah, I didn't have to worry about that. I was like, now I have to wait. But yes, for how much I hyped up this manhwa, I am disappointed in me that me has not read this so that I could gush about to you sooner, friends. But I will, in my reading wrap-up video, the January one, I will gush about how much I love this, and I will encourage you all to go read it, and read it when you get it in your hands. Don't be like me and wait several weeks. Though, again, I had sickness and other things happening, but still, I will read this ASAP. Number 4, changing it up a little bit. I feel so bad. My friend Brie gifted me this volume for Christmas, and that is Kaiju number 8, exclusive on the 3rd Division. I was so excited. This is a standalone light novel, and it's funny because the last light novel that I read was one of the, or I think it's only just one. I think it's, no, it was the first Demon Slayer light novel. I loved it. I had COVID, and that's the reason I remember it, because I told myself, Laura, you can't get out of bed unless it's like to go to the bathroom or grab something to eat until you finish reading this light novel. And that light novel kept me in bed all day and helped me to get the rest that I needed. Granted, different circumstances now, and I just want to read this because I love how we have these like light novel spin-offs off some of my favorite series, and I love Kaiju number 8. It's the only Shonen Jump shonen manga right now that I'm actively following and keeping up with. I've debated, like, should I keep up with it because I could read it digitally, but I'm like, no, I want the physical volumes. I love this series, and again, huge shout out to Brie, huge thanks to her, and I'm just so sorry if she's watching this and I haven't read it yet. I literally had it at the top of my TBR for weeks, just waiting for me, inviting me to come read, but I have definitely noticed now, when I am sick, I don't read from my physical TBR. I just don't. I like to be in a good mindset, and I have made exceptions where I have read things when I'm sick from my physical TBR, but I don't necessarily, that's not my first choice. I'll go to something digital where I'm like, oh, this wasn't on my radar. I don't have to like remember plot points or think about anything. So that was a huge reason why I didn't start this, because I wanted to be in a healthy mindset with no sick brain or anything and could really take it all in, because I know it's going to be good. I haven't even read the back. The only like thing I was bummed about is there were no pictures. There were no pictures in the novel, in the light novel. Wait. I saw just one just now. Wait. Oh, no. That's just a blank page. Say that's chapter 3 coming up. So very, very excited and very much looking forward to reading this. I feel like it'll be a quick read because I know that Demon Slayer one, I mean, it was much thinner than this one, but still looking forward to reading this, and I think I'm going to love it and thrive. I feel like I cut myself off. I was trying to say that I feel like I'll read this one quickly because I read the Demon Slayer one quickly. But anyway, very excited. For number 5, I am struggling a little bit of what I want to be my number 5. I think I'm gonna make this my number 5, and then I'm gonna say for an honorable mention, I'm gonna say My Dear Detective. So I have reviewed the first 3 volumes of this digitally on my channel. I don't know, some time ago, people have voted for this one. It was this one and like 2 other ones. And My Dear Detective one, I was just gonna do a first impression, and I ended up reading 3 different volumes, or the first 3 volumes on Azuki's website. I won this physically from 7 Seas during their like 20th anniversary, and I have not gotten around to reading it. It hasn't been super high on my TBR just because I know I have read it and I know that I did enjoy it. I'm also a little bit nervous that I'm going to continue to love it and enjoy it just much the second time and then want to get the other volumes. And I have not tracked those into my budget because when I made my budget, I hadn't won that giveaway yet. Yeah, that's how early I make my budget in like advance, because gotta plan all the things so I can get all of the things. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna say this is my honorable mention. I have surprisingly had a lot of people ask like, hey, could you do a first impression on this? I'm just like, wow, I was not expecting that. And I think I did tell somebody that I would like to try for in January this month. I know that I have a video plan wanting to do a first impression, and yeah, you guys can just know now, Glass with Chance and Liquid is going to be on that first impression video list, but I wanted to include 2 others and I was undecided, so I definitely think I mentioned to someone that I wanted to try and do My Dear Detective Detective, even though it's not like a new release the same way Glasses is. I still think it would be relevant because it's a first volume 1, and volume 2, I don't know when volume 2 comes out, but physically I know that at the time of filming this video, it's not out yet. So I'm gonna say this is my honorable mention. But for number 5, I almost read it the other day, and I was like, Laura, I think you should wait because my final read of December, and I'll have a reading wrap-up video coming next week, my final read of December wrecked me. Like, I guess you would say in a good way maybe, but it uncomfortably wrecked me, and I was not prepared for that. And I was like, Laura, do you really want this to be your next read? Like, I don't think you could handle that coming from one emotional whirlwind to another. But the one on this list that I want to read is My Girlfriend's Child Volume 6. I love this cover. They look so happy, but I did look at the first page. Well, it's the first page of the chapter, not the chapter image. And she was crying, and I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Because I'm pretty confident in volume 5, I cried when I read that one because she smiles, and it was such a genuine smile, and it had been so long since we had seen it, and I got so emotional reading it, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna get emotional when we read volume 6, so I gotta be in a good headscape there, or mindset, so that I'm prepared. But I know I'm gonna love this volume. I've deeply loved this series. It's something that has surprised me in how much I've enjoyed it, because I don't feel like this is a series I would be typically drawn to, in the sense it's not like fluffy, like say like Iosaki Saka or Sign of Affection. It doesn't have that kind of fluff, maybe here and there, but they're really rare. So I have just been blown away how much I've loved it, but it's so very good and extremely, extremely compelling. I'm nervously excited to see what happens next. I hope that this cover is like a foreshadowing of things that are going to happen. Now we're going to have this smile, we're going to have this hug, and that's what's going to take place in this volume. I know there's going to be hardship, and I know there's going to be heartbreak, but please let there be some happy moments as well, because my heart needs it for these two. They're trying so hard, and I'm just so proud of them, and they deserve all of the hugs. And I just truly, this hug, let it be a thing in this volume. Let it be a foreshadowing, but I've got to read it in all of these to find out everything that goes down in these volumes, in these series. Even if I've read it before, just being back in these worlds will be amazing. I'll be so happy. So I am filming this video and sharing it with you in hopes, again, that it will motivate me, push me, and encourage me to get down on my TBR pile. I'll get that piled down, because I don't like having an overwhelming pile, because it feels overwhelming to read. And reading is a wonderful and beautiful thing and shouldn't be overwhelming. But I would love to hear from you, friends. What are you planning to read this year? What have you already read? Do you have any reading goals for yourself? I would love to know. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!